Hi, Susanna.
How are you guys doing?
Good,
Hello.
good.
All right. So, Jim, what gave you the idea to write this movie?
Well, I've been obviously interested in Leonardo da Vinci. Like a lot of people, I'm fascinated by him. I made a short film that I finished in 2009 and about him, a little 2D animated film. So I started to explore him as a character and sort of investigate him as like a real person and not just this genius we always think of him as. And so I thought, well, from all this research, why don't I expand and just think of it as a feature film? And so I sort of picked a period that was smaller than telling his whole life, which would be the time he moves to France. And that to me was fascinating too, because here it is, the 1516, and it wasn't easy to move to places like it is today. And it took 3 months for him to travel to France. And here he's an old man. He's 60, 62 at the time. And I'm going to leave my country and never go back. So that to me was an interesting, aspect to him. So that real human quality of him.
I see you have the dolls from the show. That's
Yeah.
cool. Are they going to be selling those?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
I
Maybe we can
wouldn't
make
mind
it.
having them.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Maybe we should do merchandise.
yeah, I think so. Look what happened with Star Wars. They didn't do any merchandise hardly at all, and then they
That's
regretted it later.
true. All
You know.
right.
So, Pierre, you're the co-director.
Yes.
Can you tell me, either of you, tell me what different strengths or talents that you each bring to directing this movie, and why have two directors?
Do
Uh,
you want to start?
yes, you can start,
I'll
Jim.
start. Okay. Well, I obviously wrote the script and came up with the concept and been living with this guy for way too long, 20 years. Uh, so the puppet, the character, not Pierre-Luc. But I kept the kind of story and all what I had, my vision of it in mind as we created the film and actually went into production. But I'm from 2D and computer animation working at Pixar, so I didn't know stop motion. I love it as an art form, but I don't know the mechanics of it and the real work that goes into it and all the intricacies and pitfalls and advantages of it. So having a co-director like Pierre-Luc, who's been around stop motion for 25 years or more, it's was very valuable. So I'll pass. Pierre-Luc.
What would
And
you like?
I was here also to check if it was possible to make like Jim wanted. So sometimes I had to ask him to simplify some scenes, to find another way to shoot them. Just to be sure, because the budget was not very huge, so we had to find a way to finish the movie in time. So that was one of my role. It was to ask Jim, can you try to imagine something simple?
Police me. So yeah, it was a great combination because of his expertise in stop motion and my, I guess, vision of the film. We complemented each other really well, and I learned a ton from Pierre-Luc about stop motion. But
That's
he was
good.
in the like trenches, like really making sure everything would work and be facilitate my vision, and make sure it
Right.
could be done.
And were you both involved with casting the movie?
That pretty much was landed on me again with the kind of concept of the film. So yeah, so a little early on, I wanted Stephen Fry to be Leonardo. He really
Mhm.
seemed like a Leonardo figure today. He's
Yeah,
so interested, he's involved in so many things. He's a polymath.
sure.
So he was like my key character to go to. And then
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley, discovering her and her strong voice, her um, sincerity or personality. It just seemed like a perfect Marguerite. And so getting those two actors to be, they also love the film too. So it was perfect
Good.
casting, and Marianne Cotillard is just a brilliant star. So it was great to get these actors.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Fry, what was it? I think is it a line from your film, "A Man of Science and Reason"? He's already that.
Yeah,
So
oh, for
it's a
sure.
perfect,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's perfect.
So you just chose that period of time in his life because you felt it was the most interesting and you could do it in a movie.
Yes, that's right. So, like, I didn't want to tell his entire life story.
Sure.
So, looking at it and doing a lot of research, I was like, oh, this time is really fascinating. And then that 3 years, and so I said, well, let me focus there and see what I could tell. And then as I did more research, and actually I learned about Marguerite, it actually helped me kind of create this triangle between the young French king who just became a king, who the obvious place would be like Leonardo the sage, the mentor, comes to teach the young French king. But learning about Marguerite, I go, oh, wow, she's such a Renaissance woman in her own right that maybe Leonardo had a bigger impact on Marguerite than on the king, and the king was too involved in king things. So, uh, I that gave me this like nice dramatic triangle between these three characters, and then having the mother Louise inserted in there, who would have concern over the health and the strength of the country of France, the kingdom of France,
Mhm.
and elevating her son as the king. That then added another dimension to and strength to the narrative and gave it drama. So discovering all these things made me go, okay, this could be an actual story with,
Yeah.
you know, drama and dramatic, which you need to tell a story. It's not just a documentary.
Right. And obviously there's a lot of fantastical elements in it because it's a cartoon and you have to have some of that. So how much of it would you say was historically accurate?
Well, everything, like we say in the beginning, is based on the life of Leonardo, and there everything kind of comes out of a certain fact. Not everything is factual to that particular moment, but we pulled it out of like facts of history and of Leonardo's life. So obviously it's dramatized, it's caricatured. It's not only like if you made this in live action, you would dramatize it, but it's also an animated film, like you said, a cartoon.
Yeah.
So it needed to have that other aspect to it that would work in animation. So
Sure.
there was a lot of that. So there's, definitely artistic license in there. I wouldn't say it's like a documentary in any
Yeah.
way. And also you try not to be too didactic and educational with it in a
Right.
sense.
Right.
You're really telling a dramatic, comedic story. So, um, but everything comes from a truth of a fact, at the time.
Okay. Did now have either of you watched that TV series that did Leonardo
You know what? I never did. I didn't want to because I didn't want it to
influence you?
sort of influence me in that way.
Yeah.
I did watch a lot. I mean, I've watched different documentaries about him and read tons, almost probably every Leonardo da Vinci book, which there's a lot of them written about him. And I talked to experts and historians as well. So
Say, I think they did the same thing you did, which was took a particular time in Leonardo's life instead of telling the whole thing.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah.
and this being an animated movie, what age do you think it's best for?
Well, for me, it, I think 8 years old or 7, 8, and up to 108 for me.
Okay, and
Pierre-Luc, what do you think?
Yes, yes, I agree. It's a family movie, so it's also for grown-up people. uh, I think you can, if you haven't lose your childhood, I think you can look at this movie.
It's kind of like Walt Disney always said, there's still a child in all of us, and I think that
Yeah,
appeals. And I think the film has got many levels and layers to it
Mhm.
that a young person seeing it now would, if they revisit the film, hopefully they like it enough, they want to come back to it, that they would see another strata to it. They would see another aspect, and then as they get older, another aspect. So I feel like it's a film that can keep giving back to the audience as you travel through your own life and you can revisit So, I mean, working at Pixar, that was kind of our methodology and thinking, was to always make a film that we as adults, but also kids at heart, would want to see, and also would not speak down to children. So that was always sort of in my training and DNA and education and developing stories.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to say about the movie?
Well, for me, it was a joy to make. I worked with a great team, efficiently done. We had a tiny, tiny budget. We needed to, fit the film into this very like expansive, feel like it's rich and had dimension to it. Uh, so having a great team working with Pierre-Luc as my co-director in this magical world of stop motion was really special for me, and probably maybe more than the film itself, the experience of making it was so special.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
that's the same thing. It was a great adventure, and thank you, Jim, for involving me in this.
Oh, thank you.
It was
Well, I enjoyed it when I watched it, and I don't know what aspect of it exactly reminded me of this. Maybe just some of the joy behind it, but it reminded. Did you ever see the '70s The Point?
The Point. Oh,
I
interesting.
know, going way back, right?
Yeah,
There was
I
some
think
part
so.
that, I
Like
don't know,
the
the animation or something that reminded me a little bit of that. So
Well, sure. We were for definitely the 2D too. We were really
yeah.
looking at, I couldn't, we couldn't really do like full beauty, like Disney like animation, like the Beauty and the Beast or these films. So so we were looking at, for me, that touchstone art is that kind of idea of animation where it's a little more stylized.
Mhm.
It's
It's
still
simpler, but
rich,
not in a bad way.
simpler, but yeah, not in the bad way. No, no. And so it's interesting you bring up The Point. Yeah. Well, The Point has an educational aspect to it, doesn't it?
I guess it
And
does,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it um and that, I guess, is filtered into the film. It's like in the subject matter, there's a point of, and you're asking about the facts, so there's an aspect of it that has that.
And they're both musical.
Musical too, right? Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go talk to the composer a little bit later, and I'm
Oh,
looking forward
great,
to that.
great,
Yeah,
great. Alex is wonderful.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.